Welcome to the Baseball Show presented by Pepsi Max. I'm Matt Cerrone, and I'm joined today by 14-year MLB veteran Frank Catalanotto. Frank, what's going on?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
So today we're talking about stolen bases, and as far as I'm concerned, there's far more to it than just getting to the bag. You know, a lot happens before you actually make the move. So talk to me a little bit about the technique of stealing and what goes on maybe before the base is stolen.
Well, there's three things I would always remember and think about when I was at first base. The first one was making sure my front foot is open. So I would open this a little bit. That way, when I went to run, my body was cleared and I wouldn't have to take that extra step to get back in line. The other thing was to make sure my first 2 or 3 steps were I was low with my upper body. So I would stay down like this and it would make me shoot out as opposed to standing straight up and getting slowed down. The other thing was with this front foot. A lot of guys like to step first with this front foot and then go. Well, that's just an extra added step. So what I was taught was to just roll over this front foot, take this left foot and just run like that. And then that way you don't take that extra step.
So to what extent is that stuff taught, in the minor leagues, to players, to big? It seems like that's something obviously you go over with younger players coming up, high school, et cetera. But in the minors, how specific are guys with those sorts of techniques?
Very specific, and that's where you learn it. In the minor leagues, the low minor leagues, that's where you're going to learn those things. And, they drill you with it. It's nonstop every single day, and they expect you by the time you get to the major leagues, you should know it.
Interesting. So let's take a look at some of the leaders around the game. And see, who's doing well, who isn't. These are our National League steals leaders. And, what strikes me here is obviously as a Mets fan, I'm completely used to seeing Jose Reyes on this list. But, he's a guy that when I think about him, I think of a player that really has the luxury of relying on instinct. He's a fast guy, and I wonder how much of those techniques are present. And then you get some other guys, I think, where, technique, as you get older, you can sort of, you have to be very specific on how you read the pitcher and what you do.
Well, Reyes, not only is he a speedster, but he's got great technique. If you watch those 3 things that I talked about, he does those things. He stays low, he kind of shoots out, and he never takes that extra step with his front foot. So that's why he's always on this list. And, when you have the luxury of that speed, he can make up for some mistakes. Now, some older guys, like an A-Rod, or an Albert Pujols, these guys still steal bases. They're not speedsters, but they know how to read the pitcher. They know the pitcher's tendencies. They know what pitch may be coming. So if they can say, okay, I think a changeup or maybe a curveball that he might spike in the dirt here he's gonna pitch, they'll take advantage of it.
See, we talked before about teaching in the minor leagues. Is that something you can teach, or does that just come with experience?
No, that comes with experience. That's something that you see guys as they're getting older. They're in the league for a while. They learn that. The younger guys, they rely just on their speed, their raw speed, their raw talent. But as you get older, you learn these things and you become a little smarter.
So when we look at the American League list, Mike Trout jumps out at me. You got, and I think in the American League there's this sort of mindset. Obviously, it's a little less station to station. You rely on power. You have the DH. I think the stolen base maybe is valued a little bit less. And when you talk to people, stat-oriented folks, you read Moneyball, you realize that the stolen base maybe isn't as valued higher up as it might be in the dugout. Talk to me a little bit about how players view it in the dugout and how opportunistic people are with the stolen base.
Players love guys that are stealing bases because that means now the other hitters, they have chances to drive in runs. So this thought that the stolen base, in the American League isn't really counted on or no one cares about it is false. The players care about it. They want guys to get to second, get to third base. The more they're in scoring position, the more runs you're going to score.
Excellent. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was the Baseball Show presented by Pepsi Max. See you next time.